padding. You can give this div2 rather a single padding, and it's going to affect the children of this element, which is div3, 4 and 5. Div3, 4 and 5 are children element of div2. All right, so when you give div2 padding, it's going to give space to the children element, which are these. All right, same thing with div1. When you give it a padding, it's going to affect just div2 because div2 is the only child. All right, so padding affects the child or children of an element, while margin affects the outside of that element. All right, we'll be writing code in a bit, but let me just explain it. So when you give margin to div2, you can increase the space here by giving it margin, and the element outside it, there's going to be a space. All right, so remember, margin is for outside an element, padding is for inside an element, which is going to affect the child or children of the element. So let's start writing code. We're going to be building something exactly like this. So I'll create a file called pad margin.html. We'll just do the two together. So we have a one div first. Okay, let's doc type html head title padding and the border. So we have the body, so we're going to be working on. Good. So now in the body we have one div. Yeah, pad margin. Good. Good. So we have one div, which is our parent div, div1. Then inside div1 we have div2, which is this. And inside div2 we have three extra divs, divs 3, 4 and 5. Good. So I'm giving a div2 and div3. Good. So I'm just going to write 3, 4, 5. Okay, div3, div4 and div5. All right, good. um Everything is empty because we've not started giving styling. So now let's style div1. Let's give div1 a blue color. We've done IDs and classes, so let's use IDs. So ID is div1, ID is div2, ID is div3, ID is div4, and finally div5. Good. So we have the style. Pound of div1. Yeah. So let's give it border 1 pixel solid blue. Good. So I have a general div now. Good. So now we would style div2 and give it a red color. Border 1 pixel solid red. Good. As you can see, they are overlapping each other. Then so finally, let's give div3, div4 and div5 color of yellow. 1 pixel solid yellow. So if we refresh, we can see they all have different colors. Okay, so let's start with div 2. Yeah. So let's start with margin. All right. We have div 2 with red color, right? It's overlapping with div 1 because they are close. So if I should give div 2 margin, I can just give it a margin top of 10 pixels. As you can see, it has affected the outside of div 2, right? Remember, div 2 is the one with red color, right? As you can see, it has shifted, giving the space outside the elements. All right, that's the top. Good. So if I should give it margin left of 20 pixels, you can see there is a space between div 2 and div 1. All right, I can give it margin bottom 30 pixels, right? You can see it's coming to shape because of the margin. And finally margin right, 30 pixels. Good. Good. So as you can see, margin affected the outside of the element. All right. So that's what margin does. We can have one shortcut of just if we just want to give it margin to all edges, we can just use margin instead of margin top, margin left, margin right, and margin bottom. So let's give it 30 pixels with just margin. Okay. So everything is going to be equal. You can see the margin bottom, the margin top, margin left, and the margin right all have the same margin. Okay, so that's it for margin. Margin affects the outside of the element. All right, so now if we should give div 2 a padding, it's going to affect the element inside. All right, so we can come here and give it padding. Okay, let's just give it general padding of 10 pixels. um as you can see, it's affected the element inside. Okay, so this is a perfect example, right? The padding affected elements outside div 2. Sorry, the margin affected element outside div 2, right? And the padding affected the element inside div 2, right? So if I should give it a padding of 30 pixels and refresh, you can see it affected only inside the box, right? While margin affected outside the box. Okay, so that is the difference between padding and margin. See you in the next video.